Hi, my name is Adrian DiMatteo here with Didge Project, and today we're going to do a demonstration of a bunch of sound healing instruments. We did another video featuring 10 sound healing instruments, but we wanted to give you some more because there was so much interest. So don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and you'll be up to date with everything we're sharing. Here I have a Himalayan singing bowl. These are sometimes called Tibetan singing bowls, but it's an inaccurate term because they don't necessarily come from Tibet and they aren't necessarily from the Tibetan people traditionally. There are a lot of Tibetan people who live in exile and are making these instruments in countries like Nepal and India and other places, but it's more accurate and correct to call them Himalayan singing bowls. So Himalayan singing bowls can be played with different types of mallets. This is a soft mallet. This mallet is more firm and it has a different tone. That mallet brings out a lot of the high frequencies, whereas this mallet is more focused in the lower sounds. You can hear the difference. So when I bring this instrument close to her body, she'll begin to feel these vibrations penetrating strongly. I'm about an inch away from her forehead or her third eye. And then as I go to different parts of the body, she'll feel that. But I do need to maintain proximity. Otherwise, at a certain distance, she'll hear it, but she won't really feel the waves anymore. You can feel that? So when a person is sitting on a chair or sitting on the ground, then you can come around their head, above their head, and anywhere that you choose to connect. Don't neglect the hands and the feet. The whole body is sensitive to these vibrations because, as we've already shown, they're physically penetrating. You can feel them like a molecular massage, stimulated by those waves. And if you want, you can combine it with another instrument. Sometimes I even hold the instrument in my teeth. So these bowls come in many sizes with different notes and different tonal qualities. They each have their own personality. This is just one to demonstrate. These are Koshi Chimes. They're available for sale through the Didge project, and they come in 4 different scales. So there's earth, wind, fire, and water, and each one has its own unique sound, but they're also very well put together that they harmonize each other. And we have full-length demo videos on these instruments that you can see on the channel, so please like and subscribe and go there to check that out if you want a more in-depth review of these instruments. But these chimes are great sound healing tools, and when you have 2 of them, for instance, you can create a stereo effect around the person. And circle around them. Or connect above the crown and bring one in front of the heart. And scan their whole body. You can spin them like this, or you can also just rock them gently forward and back. But in general, they create a very peaceful and calming atmosphere. And the tones are much more pronounced close to the ears. So the way that they sound through the recording or from a distance is very different to the warmth and intensity that she'll experience from just a few inches away from her ears. And there's different kinds of chimes. This is another example of a chime. But it can certainly be used in combination with these kinds of instruments. So there's a whole world of chimes out there. This is just a little window into how you might use them. Gongs! I'm crazy about them. I love gongs. There are so many types of gongs out there in the gong universe, and they can be enormous. They can be bigger than 45 inches across and smaller than this. I'm just showing you a little side by side. This gong has a very light, gentle sound. but a pretty long sustain. One of the things about gongs in general is that they sustain. The bigger the gong, usually, the longer that it will sustain. Now, this gong is a bit heavier, so when I'm doing work with a person, I have to be aware, like, am I going to hold the gong? How long am I holding it for? And how to use my body. I try to be mindful of my posture and how I'm moving around, because sometimes in a sound bath situation, you might be holding a gong and carrying it around for 10 minutes or more, and it becomes quite a workout. Some people keep their gongs on stands. That's another option. And some gongs are so heavy and large that they pretty much have to be on a stand because it's impractical to hold them at all. So this gong has a bit of a different tone. I'm going to use a different mallet for this one. And I may choose to hold it in front of her and let her experience that vibration for a little while. Because from her perspective, she's very immersed in all of these waves that are coming off of the instrument. It's not just one tone, but it's a series of frequencies, overtones, and subtones. And if I spin it, it can create kind of an interesting effect. Which oscillates from left to right, left to right. Bringing it close to the ear again is going to make the vibrations more intense. And even if it seems very quiet, like you can barely hear it in the video anymore, there are still quieter vibrations coming off the instrument, which she can hear when they're close to her ears. So again, it's kind of a heavy instrument, so I won't spend so much time using it, but like the others, you can bring it close to the body, around to the sides, and work with this kind of spinning motion, this circular movement of the waves. And that can help a person to just be immersed in the sound and to meditate and to relax more easily. In general, all of these sound healing instruments are great for that because they're facilitating an atmosphere that's calming and peaceful. So the last video, we showed a giant tuning fork that many of you loved. Today I wanted to show you a different kind of tuning forks. You might have seen the type of tuning forks where when you clink them together, you can hear the ringing really loudly in the air. Those tuning forks are used for working in the field. These tuning forks are used for working on the body. So what that means is that when I strike the instrument, you don't really hear it, but it's vibrating very strongly, and those vibrations can be transferred into the body through the bones and through other tissues. And so even though you can't hear it, she's feeling this in her chest. Is that true? Mm-hmm. Can you describe a little bit what the sensation is like feeling these instruments?
Definitely like strong, radiating outwards all the way to the edges of my body.
Mm-hmm. What she's describing is that when you place it on the breastplate or on the ribs, the vibrations transfer through the entire rib cage or the breastplate and other parts of the body. So you're going to feel the waves transfer throughout. And so you can place this in different locations, on the crown, on the neck, on the heart area, on the shoulders, different acupuncture points and meridian lines. So that's how you use instruments like this on a person. The world of percussion can also be used for sound healing and meditation. In my hand here I have a variety of shakers, and in my other hand I have leaves from different plants. These natural materials can help bring in a connection with nature, the sound of the winds, the sound of the waters, the plants rustling by the riverbed. So first I'll show you how these different shakers sound. This Meinl shaker is available through the Didge project, and it's got a really nice, gentle, soft tone. This is a shaker made out of little seed pods. And when I use the shaker, I often think of it like it's breaking up debris. Like if you picture a bath scrubber and you've got some stubborn material there, the shaker kind of can help break up that harder material and just to go over the person almost like I'm washing. And usually when we do sound healing work or meditation work, we have some kind of a point of focus, like a candle flame, or maybe there's a plant or a glass of water. Different people create altars in different ways. And so then I'll direct the energy as I move that way. And I'll send it to that specific point of focus. Different types of shakers have different tones, like this one, or this one, which comes from Haiti. And you can even combine them if you want. So that's a little bit about the shakers. The leaf instruments, or the chakapas, this one I actually just made the other day from a plant I found in upstate New York. You can come around behind the person too. In front, down to the ground. And so different leaves are going to have different tones. Similar. This one's a little different. And one common practice with this type of work is to use aromas, maybe some nice incense, or Florida water, scented waters made with fruits and flowers and different things like that. So I'll spray the leaves, and then I'll bring that smell. And so the cooling air and the nice smells also help to facilitate calmness and encourage the person to breathe and relax. And again, that can be done with the different types of leaves. So connecting with the element water and the element air. And I feel that the intention that you carry as a person, what you're thinking and what you're feeling, is part of the sound that you're making, because you're breathing into that and you're sending that energy to the person through the instrument. So it may just have a simple sound, but what matters most is that you kind of enter into a peaceful state. Maybe you have a good thought for the person, or helping them with something that they need a little support, and you can send good energy through your heart, through your breath, and then use the instrument with that behind it. So the instrument is just part of the story. Believe it or not, the harmonica is used as a sound healing instrument by many people, and it has a very joyful, bright sound. Of course, the high tones and the metal tends to cut really strongly through the space, so it's a little bit louder than an instrument like this. And it also tends to just bring people back, bring people awake to that awareness. So what we were talking about before, when you breathe into the instrument with all of your good intentions, and you combine it with an instrument like the leaves, it can bring a very joyful energy. Flutes are one of the most ancient instruments in the world. We've found flutes over 40,000 years old, made of mammoth ivory bones, and probably before that out of reeds and tools that have long since biodegraded. But this ancient instrument comes in many forms with many scales, usually the pentatonic scale, so called because it has 5 notes, as you see 5 holes on this flute. So this flute is available through the Didge Project store, and in the previous video I demonstrated the abuelo, or the grandfather, the overtone flute. So the flutes are really powerful for meditation, and again, for the person playing the flute, when you connect with the breath, that's when it becomes a very special internal process. So the type of breath work that you can accomplish by playing flutes and using flutes is great for the inner work, but also for the benefit of others. Then when you begin to play them in a sound meditation or a healing context, they can have great benefit. So Here's what this flute sounds like. This flute has two sides. It comes from the La Rosa family in the Peruvian Andes. It's a handmade instrument made with bamboo. The other flute is from the same family, and here's what it sounds like. There's a drone on the top end, and you can change the notes on the bottom. So the flutes are pretty simple to play. They just take a little bit of practice, and we have flute lessons available if you contact us. And these instruments are, again, on the Didge Project store, so maybe you're ready to connect with flute in your life. Another very ancient instrument is the drum. And of course, we find drums in cultures all throughout the world. They're made of many materials, they come in many sizes, and there are so many different practices around using the drum. But this simple frame drum, which I made myself, is very powerful in the low vibrations, and these penetrate the body. So it's hard to capture that on a recording, but in person, when you feel these instruments, then those waves will stimulate your organs, stimulate your heart, stimulate your brain, and they can help alleviate simple things like stomach aches, but they can also help you to connect more with your heart and to breathe into that space, and those vibrations are very healing and stimulating to the entire nervous system. So this is something you have to experience in person. That's why it's great to get your hands on these instruments, because there's something that no video, no recording can show you, and you'll experience that when you have them in your hands. So I'm just going to show you a little bit how I might go around the body and approach the person with a drum. A lot of people do singing and vocalization with the drum, so however you connect with that, maybe you chant mantras, or you whistle, or you sing, or you even recite poetry or prayers. There's so many ways of connecting the drum with the voice, and it's such a fundamental instrument for that. So for those of you who may be connecting with the voice, learning to open the voice, then using a drum is going to be a great aid to that process. So how did it feel to have the drum near your body?
I felt it very strong in my heart, awakening and soothing, and then I felt it almost in my stomach, moving down my legs. Definitely relaxing, and I just wanted to add that my husband puts our kids to bed with the drum. He snuggles up with them and sings to them, and I guess they find it very relaxing because it works.
Yeah, they say the drum in some traditions is connected with the heartbeat. And so you can imagine when the baby is in the womb and the heart is beating, it's like a drum beat. And so then the sound of a drum, or the sound of the mother's heartbeat or the father's heartbeat, is very soothing to the child. So yes, these instruments are excellent for working with kids. They're very simple to play for the most part and pretty sturdy, so kids can play with them, even babies and toddlers, you know, with some supervision. So these instruments are great for that kind of work too. This instrument is called a Mallet Harp. It's a bit similar to a xylophone, and this one is custom made for the Didge project. It's available exclusively through our online store. So it's great because it's a handheld instrument. It has a very sweet and warm tone, and again, it creates that very calming, warm atmosphere, and you can play it with a mallet. And we have full demos of this whole instrument and other variations of it available on the YouTube channel. So check it out. This one's great because it's handheld. So I can come around the person like I did with the other instruments. And one of the reasons that it's important to be able to do that is, again, because the proximity to the instrument changes how you feel and how you experience the sound. So it's great to hear music when the person's on stage or across the room. It's still beautiful, but when you start to get into more using sound for meditation and sound for healing, then coming close like that gives them an experience of sound that's very different to what you're normally experiencing. And it's very immersive. How would you describe the sound of this instrument?
It's very uplifting and I would say energizing. And when you first started playing it, angelic.
There's so much more to sound healing and meditation than meets the eye. And if you're interested in learning more, definitely like and subscribe to our channel for all the content we're creating, and feel free to get in touch. I lead trainings and workshops and private lessons related to this work. But one thing I'll say is how we approach the work is a lot about our consciousness and our inner space. And we want to make sure that we're comfortable and at peace, that we're respectful, that we are humble to being in a position to be of service to somebody. And so from that standpoint, we want to make sure that they're comfortable. Create a nice environment for the person to be in where they can lie down, it's clean, it's warm. If they need a blanket on top of them, then you can offer them one. Otherwise, just make sure that the smells of the space are good, the lighting is good, the temperature is good. The basic atmosphere that you're creating is part of the process. So the instruments are only so much of the work. We're showing you a little bit of how to use the instruments today, but please keep all these things in mind, and more than anything, that you come at it with a lot of respect and peace. So when a person is in the lying down position or Shavasana pose, this is great because they can deeply relax their entire body. When you're sitting up, you still have to engage some of your muscles and things. So a lot of times sound meditation, sound healing, sound baths, the person will be lying down, and you can guide them through a process of relaxation, visualizing every muscle in their body, every tendon, every thought, every feeling, just dissipating into a calm state of presence. So whatever type of guided meditation you use to help open them up to the experience, then because the body is in this position, you have access in a different way to use the instruments. So the singing bowls are really powerful for placing on the body, especially this type. Now, when I approach a person ever with an instrument, I do so calmly and gently and respectfully. So when I come to her, there's two places that I can place the instrument in general that are particularly good. One would be sort of on the sternum, on the breastplate area. Now, I notice if it's angling too far forward, it's going to fall towards her face, which I don't want. So I bring it back just to where it seems like it's going to rest well. It's supported on her body. I usually use the soft mallets for getting the deeper vibrations that penetrate into the body. And I won't strike it this way going towards her because it's going to fall towards her face. So I'll use the physics to try to bring it back this way. And I can be pretty firm with the strike. And I'll really let it ring that way. She can still feel it, so I'm going to strike it one more time. And Sarah, I want you to raise your hand up when you can no longer feel the vibrations in your body. So we're already close to 15 seconds or so. And she can still feel the vibrations traveling through her chest, through her stomach, through her heart. So now we're at least 20 seconds, I don't know. So these instruments last for a long time, and we need to be aware of that when we're striking them, because we want to let the person have the experience, the full length. So she's only just now lost the ability to perceive the feeling of the vibrations in her body. And I'm not talking about the sound, because I can actually still hear the sound of the bowl. So we don't need to strike it continuously over and over again, but just firm enough and let it ring and let the vibrations do their work. I can also move it a little lower down towards the stomach. And here it can be great to work with people who are experiencing digestive problems, stomach issues of different kinds, weight management. And of course it will penetrate not just the immediate area, but these vibrations disperse through the body. Now at the same time that one of them is ringing, I can go around with another one. Maybe near the head. And actually the feet are very sensitized, and the feet can feel the vibrations too. Can you feel that in your toes? Yeah. So you can place the instruments sometimes on the legs in different places. The most resonant places are in general the chest and the stomach, because they can sit there in a stable way. When I use them on my hand, my palm is open. I don't grip the bowl with my fingertips, or that will deaden the sound. So I keep them open. Go around the person's body, maybe use other instruments. And so you can combine this with any of the other instruments we've talked about today. So when the person is lying down, I'll have a lot more access to bringing these tuning forks to different meridians, different acupressure points, and so on. So can you feel the vibrations in your knees?
I can, and that knee's injured, so it actually feels really good.
So you follow your intuition and you take the instruments where they need to go, or where the person has expressed that they're experiencing some pain or discomfort. And then prolonged exposure to these vibrations helps for the waves to penetrate into the cells, into the molecules. Actually, scientific studies have been published showing that exposure to vibrations and sound vibrations at different frequencies can increase or sensitize cells so that they better receive chemotherapy treatment. And all the waters can flow through the system better. The subtle energy can flow better, because that vibration is helping to open everything and just let it flow. Whenever using a gong over a person's body, make sure that the string is really strong and well attached and in good condition, and check that often, because a heavy metal instrument falling on a person in the middle of a healing session is not what you want. It can be dangerous. So we need to be aware of that aspect of working with gongs in this way. But I'm going to show you how you can pass a gong over the person's body or hover it near their head, and it's a really great way to use the gong. And as you're striking these instruments, you want to be aware that if you're hitting it and it's really loud and you're really close to the person's ear, that's going to be pretty uncomfortable and shocking and even painful. So be mindful of how is the other person receiving and experiencing the sound. It's not just about where you're standing, but you have to sort of put yourself in the other person's place and be sensitive to how they're receiving it. Thanks again for watching. My name's Adrian DiMatteo. There's lots more videos here to check out if you like what you saw. So hit like and subscribe. And if you haven't seen the other video about 10 different sound healing instruments, go and check it out now. We'll link it to you here.